Hi, I'm Paul Ashman with Manic Salamander. Today I'm going to show you how to install our hollow tube bar end weights.
Let's take a look at what you get in your Manic Salamander hollow tube weight kit. Here's the manual. You'll typically have two expansion nuts. The different kits have different sizes of nuts, but they all look like this, more or less. You'll have two noses. All hollow tube kits also have these lovely red screw adapters. That's what makes that red ring that you see in some of the photographs. They go on the outboard side of the weight, like I'll show you. You have two pairs of screws that come in a separate bag pre-greased, and if you have to install it several times, you might want to re-grease those threads. It really helps the nut bloom out against the inside of the bar better without spinning. They come with this nice Allen wrench that fits the screws. They come with two lock washers. They go right in the screw adapters like that. The screws go through those. They've got a whole pile of shims. The number of shims differs by the bike, but you have these shims. They look like flat washers. They're made like flat washers, but they're made to my own specifications within 1/1000th of an inch. And those determine the spacing of the throttle locker weight away from the grip. That's what's in your kit. So your first step is you got to open up that grip. My recommendation is that you do it with a pocket knife. Similar to this, a plain old pocket knife. The close second would be a small X-Acto knife with a pointed blade. You want it to be sharp and you want it to be narrow. As narrow as you can get it. This one here, so it can turn corners while it's going through the rubber. Something you should probably do before you start, you get a little motor oil. Whatever oil, you don't have to be fussy. You put a little on a piece of cloth or a paper towel, and you wipe the oil on the nut blade on both sides. This will help it slip through the rubber. It makes the cutting a little more precise. So what you do here is you feel inside for where the throttle sleeve ends, and you're interested in exposing the entire perimeter of the throttle sleeve. So first you feel with your fingers for it, and then you try to poke that blade in just to the outside of that throttle sleeve. Looks about like this. Got a little more oil on that blade. And get back on it. Now, if you're not good with a knife, I would recommend you find a way not to cut towards yourself. For instance, like by changing hands. Really helps. A little bit of a sawing motion is good. Alright, there's your basic thing. The idea here is to have the throttle sleeve, which in my case is this metal thing, completely exposed. Actually, anywhere within the thickness of the throttle sleeve would about do it, but to be safe, to make sure there's no friction from the inside of the grip to the nose, the hilt of the nose like I showed you, you want to expose the entire perimeter of that throttle sleeve. So now you got to go around again. So now you go and oil your blade one more time. Doesn't take much. Now here's where you try to be precise. So you try to, as soon as you have enough of a tail on that rubber piece you're cutting off to hold it, you can hold it, and that'll get it out of the way and reduce the friction. It'll make it easier to cut right. I guess I'm not quite there. There we go. Yeah, I had to go around a ways. In this tidying up process, it's not going to be that tidy. You basically have to go after the little bits wherever you can find them and cut them off. Okay, this looks good enough to chance it. You can always back up and do more if you need to. Here you see the end of the bar, and you see the throttle sleeve almost all exposed. So that's worth a shot right there. I happen to be lucky on this particular bike. The throttle sleeve on the KZ400 appears to be open. It was made open. A lot of throttle sleeves are closed on the end, but for a small hole in the middle. So now we're going to cut over to a little bit of footage from the laboratory, and I'm going to show you how to open up the end of a plastic throttle sleeve. Welcome to Manic Labs. Here's what a screwdriver's for. You take it with a hammer. There's the hammer. It's a little out of the field of view, but the plastic brittle. So this is my favorite kind of bonehead method to do it. Can chip it away. Once you've got the easy chipping done, and see what we're left with. Looks to me like we got to get sensitive here. We got to start carving it out because it's not exposing the full perimeter of the throttle inside of the throttle sleeve. There's these chunks that we have to carve out. Now, if you did this with the Dremel, it'd be very, very easy. The Dremel's just ideal for this. These things, I can't recommend these highly enough as a motorcycle maintenance tool. There's a million uses. So here's how it looks with the Dremel. You start out with this brick-like chunk, and I'm going to hollow it out so you can see the inside of the throttle sleeve, or the end of it. You go little by little. You're doing it by eye. You're doing it by feel. Safety glasses highly recommended. Compressed air's not bad either, but I can blow it. And you can see there I kind of nicked the end of the handlebar a little bit. No big deal. So that's how you do it with a Dremel. You see I got the entire end of the handlebar exposed, so that's really good. And it's even, so like that's the thickness of the throttle sleeve. That's pretty nice. If you wanted to, you could take off that tab too. It's probably not necessary, but there it is. I'm going to leave it in this demo. Now here's what you do if you've only got a pocket knife. I'll show you that. You want to go back to your good pocket knife. Now I guess I should add this disclaimer. These things, I mean, everyone's got them, but if you use them in a way you're not accustomed to, you could kill yourself. I'm serious. I mean, this can reach into your heart. It can reach into all kinds of arteries. Got to be careful. Rule number one, if you're not familiar with exactly what you're doing with your pocket knife, is you don't cut toward any part of you. This one is number one. And secondly, if you're doing fine work, and this is fine work, it requires control. There's no way you're going to do this right just pushing on it with your hand. You need leverage, because if you push on it with your hand and it suddenly goes through, your hand will just